get you all on my screen where we need you. And my name is Karen Willsey. I live in Grand Prairie, just 5 hours northwest of Edmonton. And I'm a graduate of the University of Alberta. I graduated back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. So I'll kind of cover that in our presentation. I want to tell you about our app, how we've used artificial intelligence in a mobile app. And our whole goal, so I'll just dive right in. And I want to talk on a topic that everyone knows about. Everyone has done in one form or another, and how in the past it hasn't been easily scalable for the masses, but until now, that's the problem that we have fixed. Stretching has so many benefits, but discussing these is not my intent today. I'm excited to present how we applied artificial intelligence to motivate the world to get moving. Exercise through the act of stretching. At WeStretch, we've designed an algorithm that will produce a stretching routine that takes into account the user's entire history. It determines what stretch should be done on your next workout, and all in the guise of, in the constraints of the time that the user has given you. The user gets to choose if they want a 3-minute routine or a 60-minute routine. So our job and our algorithm's job is to ensure that no range of motion is missed. It's systematic, methodical, and on demand. This is so weird talking to a bunch of names on a screen, but we take this routine that's built by our artificial intelligence and we deliver it to the user through an animated personal trainer. So the user doesn't really see how sophisticated our app is. They just see a cartoon character telling them exactly what to do and when to do it. The result is that every time they ask for a routine, it is a completely unique routine. There's no canned videos. It is built for the user after they insert their criteria. I'll talk about the criteria later on today. But then the app slowly progresses over time. It increases their hold time in a position, and it increases the tension applied to the stretches. So no one's allowed to start out at a higher level so that nobody gets injured. They start and they slowly progress their stretches. So a little bit about me and then a little bit about our company. I was a high-level gymnast, and I actually competed for the University of Alberta, and then I graduated with a computer science degree. And after that, got married, had 6 kids. And when you have 6 kids and you get them all in activities, all you are is a chauffeur. In the meantime, I had so many opportunities. My dad was a serial entrepreneur, and so here, go run this, go run that. So my comp-sci degree was more into how to learn software, bookkeeping, everything on the back end. So I just set off and I was running companies. And then I went to a week-long personal development put on by KPMG. And it was about business, running business, and setting goals and being motivated. So I came home and the ideas just jumped into my head. So one day in the shower, it was like, I can fix my own stretching problems, because I didn't have time to go to yoga. And when I did go, they throw you into positions that you have to hold for a long time. And I would always go, here was the pattern: go to yoga, go to the chiropractor, massage, and acupuncture. Try yoga again, hit repeat. Then I thought CrossFit and bike riding and jogging, and it was the same pattern, hit repeats. And then when I was in the shower that day, it's like, this is dumb. I know how to fix this. All the tables and algorithms just kind of jumped into my head. It was just like, I have this. So I explained to my husband, here's an app we could build. But then I haven't coded forever. Like I said, my degree was I graduated in 1994. So time went on, and my sister-in-law handed me a resume, and the rest is history. Amii is sitting in our office today, and we had the algorithm, the artificial intelligence, built within months. That was, to us, the easy part. The tough part was putting the app together. So we'll talk about that journey in a minute. But we succeeded to do what we do. I can exercise through stretching every day, and I haven't hurt myself once. And through COVID, I actually, the funny thing in my office, I've had 6 kids. The hips go out, right? And during when COVID hit, my hips went out, and I phoned the chiropractor, and that was the day they shut down. We're going into our meetings to see what we're going to do. And our app hadn't been where you could choose to do injury routines and stuff at that point. So, but I had it on the back end. So I made myself a routine, and my hips didn't hurt for another 3 weeks. So it's the perfect kind of medicine. Now, about our company, as I mentioned, the AI was the easy part for us. The tables were all there and what we needed to do. But the development teams, how to build an app, how to drive a gaming software. So our app is driven through Unity, which is what's used to build computer gaming applications. And so we went through 5 separate development teams. Our MVP went live about 18 months ago, and the evolution of the app is pretty amazing if we go back and look at what we had back then. Today we have Unity developer, 2 QA teams, or 2 QA people to help us, a Scrum Master, a newest full stack. She's now gone to be our hardware, our software, our debugger. She's just amazing. And then we have Brianna as a Grand Prairie Regional College student from their computer diploma program. And she's been with us over 6 months. And this is how she describes the learning curve. But she has a new to teach her everything. So this is our team. And I don't code, I design on the back end. Our current company stumble is the marketing. We keep asking better and better questions on the marketing side, and one of them is going to lead to our marketing success. But what we realized as a company is that we need to work more closely with the universities. Like every element of the app development process, if we didn't Google the right question, we didn't get the right answer, we just built it anyways. So we have no experience. So there's been lots of learning going on. I'd like to introduce to you Ada. She's our animated personal trainer. Ada's evolved through a lot of revisions. This was no easy fate, but I can actually program in Unity now and move her around. What our algorithm does is actually sends a JSON file to her, and each one of her positions and movements and joints and angles is all driven by the numbers we send. It's pretty fun. Hence, if you come across a broken pose, that might be why. So she started out looking like this with very odd positions, and then our background was just a temporary background, and she looks very stable. And then we give her positions that were completely broken. We can put her anywhere. It's quite hilarious. She can fly, she can do a lot of things. She can float in the air. And to the version that we have today, she's come a long way. And how we feed our algorithm to build each routine is we ask the user how long they want the routine to be, because we build it for you anyway. So they can choose from 3 to 60 minutes, like I said. We are redesigning this because we can say it clearer, but essentially we ask them how long they want, and then they can choose if they want to go to the floor or only do floor poses or standing poses. Take out any positions they don't like. We have 16 positions that we do all of our stretching through. And then if they don't want to move a body part, or let's say your arm is in a cast, give me every routine that I don't need my arm on, they can do that there as well. If they want fast-paced instructions, it just goes a little faster. They can say whether they just want to hear the instruction once, and any other time that pose shows up in a routine, we don't tell you, just watch Ada and do what she does. You could do a sport warm-up. They're all different styles of routines. Rehab, aerobic version. We have an aerobic version, it's kind of my favorite. If you're a desk jockey, which a lot of you guys are, the routines are structured very different. And we do this by giving different variables to our algorithm. Our sports poses, we actually, this has been a lot of fun. We worked closely with a physiotherapist in Grand Prairie. He understands our algorithms. That took a couple of weeks to get his head around it. And so with working with our physiotherapist, we pick a sport, we find out the most common injuries for that sport, whether it's shin splints or name it. And then we do the rehab as preventative stretches in your stretching routine. So it's every stretch that your physio or your chiropractor would have given you to heal from your injuries. And we do them ahead of time, which actually is prehab and injury prevention, because your body becomes more accustomed to that range of motion. You feed all the connective tissue with pumping fluid through it. There's lots of science, but like I said, I wasn't going to talk about the benefits of stretching today. But then we do a warm up for each sport, which you're not supposed to hold a position very long. It's just activation, and a cool down, which will help relieve lactic acid, and a sport improvement if you want to learn your splits, or a golfer who wants to increase his twisting range of motion. That is how sophisticated our app is. Our marketing does not handle that just yet. Our marketing doesn't convey all of the variety of routines that we do, but we're changing that. I've got all the drafted out papers. You might not be able to see them, but that's where our struggle is at the moment, is on those, letting the user know that this just isn't here, I'm going to show you a picture of a cat and cow and go do it yourself. It's artificially driven, taking in all the variables I mentioned. It's pretty neat. And as a fun test case, we had our one test user who was not athletic, 25 years old, and only did 15 minutes a day, and said, I'm going to learn my splits. It was actually our blog writer. And she's, I'm not writing a blog until I try this. So 1 month, she got splits to the floor. One was about this far off, and the other one, she could actually rest in the splits. It was fun to see. So through the simplicity that the user, just choose a time, choose a stretch, and then we build your routine. We take this input, ask repeated questions of our history in our database. So then when she says, I want a splits routine, we comb through her history of all the poses that will help her get splits. We find the most neglected pose, and we see how long she held it in and what position she did it in, and then we give her a new one, and we increase the time and tension a little bit. And then our APIs wave their magic wand, and Ada does the routine. It's a little more than that. But so us at WeStretch here have become modelers, demonstrators, testers, engineers, debuggers, copywriters, researchers, marketers. For a while, we were doing, we tried VR, virtual reality, to input the positions. We spent a few months on that and walked away from that. That was the data points were way too heavy, and we were faster to feed it numbers to get our positions. And we're grateful learners. That's like, we go down so many rabbit holes and so many learning opportunities, but we never engaged the universities to say, what infrastructure do we build this in? We missed that part. We should have done that. To look at how every direction of each joint can move, and finding the animations to stretch each one of those directions. It has built us over 5,000 stretches in our app that we methodically deliver to the users, and increasing the time and tension over the lifetime of the whole app. Through the whole lifetime of the app, I haven't figured out the probabilities, but the chances of you getting the same routine twice, you might as well start betting on the 649. You'll have way more success. But for a human to build individual routines, customized based on one user's past stretching history to ensure no range of motion is missed, and then demonstrate that routine to each user would simply be impossible or very expensive to have your own private personal therapist to decide what kind of routine. Then you would just say, okay, today I wanted a 30-minute routine, but now I only have 18 minutes. Your therapist would probably quit you and leave. But our app has then made the impossible possible, because that's what we do. We build the routine specifically and toned to each user. When designing the app, we incorporated strategies for changing human behavior, and we believe it worked. We have users who have stretched over, wait for it, 422 days in a row. Our app has only been live for 585 days, and not until we started recording consecutive day workouts did our users start doing it consecutively. But 422 days in a row, that's mind-blowing. A therapist, we were at our physiotherapist back when it was 250 days roughly. And I don't think he could get his mind around that we had non-athletic, everyday kind of people stretching every day without missing. So think about that. You know, one of our users has done, I went and looked before I came on, 740 routines, and the app's only been live 585 days. It's working, which is so much fun to see. Lessons we've learned, besides fail fast and then go fail faster, is we were expecting certain results from people stretching, but the results that are starting to surface are nothing what we expected. The first improvement when you try to interview a user is they notice the shocking improvements in their balance. We're like, you know, that's not what we're expecting. It was the most unexpected result, but it's almost across the board is the first comment. People start to realize their balance. We have a hockey school that's testing us out to see if they're, how we would help them. And a 14-year-old hockey player did it, and he said he was doing a leg stretch out sidewards, and I can't do this. Look at my balance. And I'd pit him up against any of our two saucy 70 and 80-year-olds. They would be able to hold their leg out. So we strengthened the core accidentally. It was a serendipity benefit that we didn't really expect. But and everyone starts out, it's funny when you interview them, it's too easy. This is going to do nothing for me. But in the very next breath, they finish their sentence with, but I notice an increased range of my motion. And it's like, it works. It's not difficult. So we don't blow people out of the water like starting CrossFit or diving into a yoga class does. We're almost like the foundation so you can then become a yogi or take up jogging. And stretching improves the quality of life, period. It's mindful movement was another unplanned outcome. And we're seeing feedback that it actually helps with depression. Like a user has been reaching out to us. One of our biggest supporters came from Ontario, cold called, just emailed us and said, I have a question. It's been a life-changing app for him. He has cerebral palsy. He's in his 50s. And he's actually considering giving up his personal trainer because the app is doing more for him. He does all his standing exercises. He sometimes can walk a little distance without canes, is where level he's at. And then once he's done his standing routine, he turns around and does just a laying on the floor routine with only those poses. And he's now able to lift his leg up to his computer desk, which is a huge accomplishment. But his family was saying his disposition, his depression has just disintegrated. So the family noticed that one. Another lesson is marketing is the most mythical occupation I've ever found. Oh my God, it is like mind-boggling, baffling. And the fact that we're changing lives, and our whole goal was to get the world moving. We started to envision thanking the seniors who came before us for building the world we have today. And I didn't want to charge them for that. But can you imagine if everyone over 60 had full range of motion, full mobility, and we can actually take aches and pains away by stretching, improving their quality of life. How would that impact our world? And we start thinking in Grand Prairie here, but then Northern Alberta, Canada, what would happen if we give everyone the tool to stretch daily? The impacts are, that's what drives us. So, but our pricing model is always free. You get one routine a day, and then to get all the customizations and specializations, we have a subscription model. It's less than $5 a month if you do the yearly model. So it's, you know, I think we're undervalued for exactly what the user gets. So like I said, marketing is a mystical creature. I would love to know if you think we're truly AI. It's a debate we have in the office all the time. And our journey, that's our journey as we struggle to find answers to topics we know nothing about. Thank God for Google. And how does one know that you're hiring somebody with the skills you need if you don't even know the technology and the infrastructure that you're trying to build? It's been 4 years of constantly asking these questions, digging in and learning the technology very superficially, so that when we hire somebody, we can at least relate to them in some way. I hope you thought this was practical. I'm not sure what you were expecting, but I would love to hear anything about infrastructure, anything on artificial intelligence. We are not machine learning. Thank goodness, that's above my pay grade. We methodically deliver your stretches. Thank you. Sabina, I can't see the chat. I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you, Matt.
So there is one question in the chat. One person asked, what is the AI in your app?
What is the AI in our app? So you guys are the experts in this. The artificial intelligence is the actual making of the physical routine, which is exported as a JSON file. But it's business decision logic, but what it ends results is, without a human, a custom built routine for each user is made. So we call that our algorithm. We actually named it. We called it Tessru. Backwards, it's you reset. We reset you. That's the artificial intelligence part of it that we feed to the gaming software to drive this animated character. We do nothing. Can you imagine us in the back end? Here's your routine for today. We don't just say, here's a 5-minute routine, give the same 5-minute routine to anyone. We build it, or we don't, but Tessru does. But then again, is that artificial intelligence? Does that fit the criteria, or the academics in the room? Does that even qualify?
I think it does. I think you can absolutely call that AI, and it sounds good. I had 2 questions for you. The first one was, would it be possible to understand when to suggest people stretch? So for instance, you've been seated too long. You normally stretch at this time.
We get a push notification right now. If you stretched at 6 a.m. this morning, tomorrow we'll give you a push that says, hey, it's time to stretch. Don't forget about us. Part of influencing people's behavior, there's 6 elements out of the book, The Influencer, how to change people's behavior. And one of them was community, how to build it in community. So inside our app, we have it where you can challenge your friends. And wow, that was a learning experience I wasn't ready for. There's some competitive people out there. I was an elite gymnast that competed for U of A. I'm like a pussycat. Like you'd see that pull this energy out of these people, and they're going to win the challenge. So I could challenge you, Matt, and for any number of minutes, 1, 2, 3, or 4 weeks. And then we get a little bar graph to show if you missed or didn't miss. And we also have, you can earn badges. So we're challenging people to try different things. And I warn you, if you want to, I forget what the plank one's called. If you're going to do the plank challenge, try a 3-minute routine. The 5-minute just about killed some really buff people. But so we have a whole gamut of badges that gets people out of their comfort zone and trying a strengthening routine. Our strengthening routine is actually quite fun. It's up and down though. You have to be able to go to the floor and not floor, because it's using your body weight, which is the safest way to do it. But yeah, and then we just, we go and we learn. So I'm not sure, we were going to set alarms, but we found out that we were actually bringing people to tears, like sobbing. And we didn't realize, so they get their consecutive day streak, they get 60 days in a row, and then their day blew up, right? I didn't stretch normally in the morning. I fell asleep before I stretched, and they broke their streak. I mean, I got evil horn icons of the devil. I got, it's my fault, but I missed it. I swear I had my 12-year-old just lose it in the kitchen on Mother's Day because her dad said, go to bed. And he leave your iPad down here. Didn't realize that she missed her stretching. So we put it, so you can buy a token, kind of like a mulligan. So you buy a token, and it's like that day didn't exist. You don't get credit for the consecutive day, but you don't lose it. And in the end, we thought, our goal is to motivate people to stretch, not to send hate mail, right? So we do have that one, but you lose a day. So if you're challenging somebody, you can't buy your way into that challenge.
So and I did download and install the app. So you did a really good sales pitch, marketing.
Well, now you got to do it. That's the truth.
Then the other question is actually exactly that. How do you know that people are actually doing it? And is there any way to measure that they're getting more flexible or their gait is becoming more predictable?
We dove down that rabbit hole, turning on the front camera, asking for access, blocking out people who might stretch in the buff. There was a whole bunch of how do we measure your spine strength and stuff, and or like your alignment. And it was actually the physiotherapist that talked us out of it, because I know in yoga's philosophy is your alignment is everything, but in practical everyday life, the physiotherapist said, and one thing we might have missed the boat on is the right and left. I built the app for myself, and I didn't want to bore myself, or this was either a huge procrastination project to never start to exercise, or I didn't want to bore myself. So when you look left, you might not look right that same routine. The right will come the next routine. And that was based on what the physiotherapist said. He said, you drive to Edmonton, you tell kids in the back of the minivan how many times on the trip, 5 hours, right? But you don't, every time you look left, look out the window right to counterbalance. We're not symmetrical. So I've went on a giant tangent here and forgot your question, but so that's part of the people don't understand the left and right, but he said it doesn't matter because we're not, the alignment doesn't matter because we're not quickly achieving a position. Like you're not running and stopping and having any jerking motions. And so we're actually do a few stretches that people go, oh, you're never supposed to do that stretch, like lean your knee further past your foot. And the physio is saying, it's not good to do that at Mach 1 when you're coming to stop when you're playing soccer and stuff. But it is a stretch and it is a position that people, because when grandma goes down to weed her garden, the 100-year-old grandma that never stops, she actually goes through that position. So, the debate on the alignment to everything is, he said, you need to feed the connective tissue and the joint and the blood pumping and getting to the full range of motion is way more important. Now, if you're rehabbing a broken arm and you tweak this muscle, it's a very specific muscle, and that's where the physiotherapists and chiropractors are working on a very specific muscle. But if I have you going like this, and you go like this, and you go like this, and it's, well, you're increasing your range of motion. It doesn't matter, right? So the biggest compliment we had on that element was a occupational therapist at the hospital. And when I said, well, we take every joint, move it in every direction. And depending on how much time you give us to work out, if you do 3-minute routines, to get through every joint, it's going to take more days. But if you give me a 30-minute routine, I got you covered. And that's what this, like, she said she was in her 90s, this lady who was recovering from a knee or hip surgery. You know, the OTs go in to get them up out of bed, get them walking. And she said, this grandma, they had to say, stop. Like, she jumped out of bed and they went, what are you doing, right? Like, you just had surgery. And she said, no. And she said to the OT, I move my joints every direction every day. So she had intuitively, or her mom had taught her, my joints go like this, and she methodically did it every day. And so when I was explaining that to the OT, it was like all these worlds were coming into a line. I went, oh, but it's funny, they hear it, but I haven't got it to the point where the OT will take it and implement it because her school hasn't said they could, or their association hasn't said they could. We're the physiotherapist, and our own physiotherapist recommends it to people for stretches. He says they need to do yours while they do the specific rehab for the broken spot. But my next challenge is changing chiropractors, physiotherapists, OTs, and home care nurses to understand what the app is, and that it's actually the solution that doesn't need an expert arriving at everyone's doors. So that's our marketing. I swear I need a magic wand. Yeah.
Well, and you got the data to back it up, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, and how do I know how much people do is the JSON we send, we know how many routines, what routine, and what degree of freedom we're measuring, like your neck flexion. And as the user progresses through the routine, whether they close the app, stop the app, or finish the routine, the app sends us a return JSON, and then we repopulate our database with what was done, what was this. So we ask 100 questions of your history to build today's routine. And that's how we know how many minutes are done, how many users are actively using, because we have to record the data. And yeah, it's fun. I could use a statistician. What do you call someone with a statistics degree? Sign me up. I need one of those too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Any statisticians on the main board here? I'd love to ask any other questions. I'll make up any answer you guys need. Does everyone know where Grand Prairie is? Download the app. Give it a try. It really is generated by a computer, your routine. So every day we actually are working on our poses. We have an interface that we've built for ourselves, our own admin panel that allows us to adjust numbers, camera angles, everything all in there. And then we fix some of the poses. I got about 500 left to fix that aren't live in the app yet. And I need an animator that knows the trick to not let Ada's leg go through the floor. But we kind of went, whatever, someone's going to be that uptight and not like the app because she kind of cuts a plane here or there.
Hi, Karen. Here is one comment from Adam in the chat that getting clinician types on board can be very non-trivial. So I think that's the comment from him. There is one question from Bruce. He's asking, what is the business model here?
Okay. Yes to the non-trivial. If you have any idea how I approach universities, talk to the physiotherapist, my email, go it's everywhere on the internet. But the business model might be flawed. We're bringing on more marketers to see if we can make it work. Our business model is free, 1 routine a day, forever, because I really do want to get the whole world stretching, and I didn't feel the seniors should pay for it. But if you want to unlock any of the customizational aspects to it, then you need to buy a monthly, quarterly, or yearly subscription through Apple or Google Play. So I was hoping that there was enough beef behind the stretches that people would be willing to pay, and they are. We're struggling in explaining it properly. The new UX user flow that we're designing, we're debating and testing. If I unlock the app for 24 hours for free, you get a look at the whole app, and then it goes down to your 1 routine a day on our holistic routine. Then people would see what it is and know. I think a lot of people are now in the afraid of being conned. Like, you pay for this app when you have not even been able to touch what's inside and see what it does. And so there's the financial business model. I can charge you right up front, and serving our goal of getting the whole world moving. So it's a monthly subscription model after the free version or outside the free version. My husband thinks the free version should only allow a 9-minute routine, because that would totally annoy my children, that they would need to do a 10-minute routine and everyone would just pay for it. But we have no consultants helping us with this, partly because I don't know how to find them. And clinical types, yeah, very non-trivial. Amen to that one. Any other questions on stretching or so I would love to hear your guys' research on AI versus, is this AI? Because Amii is for businesses using technologies to better their businesses, and I think we fit right in that slot.
Well, but and there's 2 parts. There's Amii on campus and Amii not for profit. So most of the people here are Amii on campus doing the cool research stuff. But later, I'm going to send you an email about ways that Amii not for profit might be able to help you, because I think you have a lot of interesting potentials for incorporating AI.
Yeah, I have one comment on that aspect. So as you previously mentioned that, okay, so you have the joints, you want to move in some direction, and that's also related to some sort of motion planning, that, okay, in which direction you want to move, you haven't moved previously in that direction, but you want to explore that space. So that is definitely related to AI and other stuff. Okay, there is one question from Calvin, that have you considered ad revenue model? And the second one, Bruce, I recommended something that set up an advisory here.
The ad model we did have for a while. So if you're a free user, we had a banner ad running at the top of Ada's workout screen the whole time. And by the end of, I forget how many months we let it run, I made $13. And they weren't going to pay me my $13 till I made $100. And it was annoying. And I thought, screw that. So was it a sophisticated business choice, or was it like, it's not what we wanted? It made us look cheap and gamey, like Candy Crush, where I had to stop and watch ads. So I wouldn't be opposed to it if I actually made some significant coin, but I think if I just got one subscription, I'd make way more than I would on ads by being a higher quality app. So that's kind of what I went. And set up an AI advisory board is the next question. That's brilliant. How do I do this? Who's gonna just stay with me after and go, this is how you do that? Because I signed me up.
That was my comment, Karen, and yeah, I'd love to chat with you about that, but maybe we can do that offline.
Yeah, absolutely. And my email address, just Google WeStretch. So it's not I stretch and it's not you stretch, it's we stretch together. So absolutely. I'm easily stalkable. It's fun. We're having a ton of fun. And the funny thing is the impact it's having. We have one grandma that did nothing her whole life. Her mom put her against sports, like, you're not going to get hurt. Did a desk job her whole life. She's over 70 now. And she legit had been doing the app because her daughter set it up on her phone and said, you need to do it. Okay. She got locked out of her daughter's house, kettle on, dog in the house. She's like, oh no, the garage door jiggered, the broken doorknob out. I guess she left. So she knew the basement laundry room window was open. So she pulled a B&E, took out the screen, and did this like 8-foot drop into the laundry room, landed in a sink, threw her on the treadmill, landed on the floor, and she's laying there. This is a non-athletic grandma at all. The most she started doing was walking the dog, her grand puppy. And she's laying there going, am I dead? What just happened? And she jumped up and said, I got a kettle on the stove. She didn't hurt herself. Like, she knew how to roll. She rolled with it. It wasn't even stiff. Like, it was like, she said she would never have ever considered even climbing through the window, but now because she got to the floor and up enough times, so it's functional mobility. It's improving life. Like, stories are fun. It's been good, but we're ready to make some money at it now.
I have another comment. This device right here, this is my company. It's called Health Gauge. And what we do is we actually measure your heart rate. We also have a weight scale that takes measurements, and we measure blood pressure. We do a bunch of things with this. Activity levels, so we can actually measure the activity levels when you're doing the stretching. And we also measure, sleep. I think it'd be really interesting to see, that come together where people are actually tracking their activity levels and then tracking, other, like their heart rate, for example, while they're doing it. And, I think that would be interesting to users. What do you think?
Now you're getting, I think, what you guys call machine learning, right? You have all the data that would say, I stretched today and how did I sleep? I stretched yesterday. How did I, where's my heart rate after? Wow.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's a ton of fun.
You bring, yeah, exactly. And now you can give people more direct feedback, more direct advice that advise them on their trends. You can also have them tag. So we have a tagging concept, and if they have pain levels, they can tag that, and then you can associate the activity with what they tagged. And so that would be an interesting combination as well.
Well, and we've been approved to have a booth at the Diabetes National Conference for physicians and people with diabetes and healthcare professionals. And so the vetting process has come, but it's like we're a match made in heaven, because their research is starting to say stretching will help balance out the insulin levels, makes you more sensitive and stuff. So no one needs any equipment, background, knowledge, and we get a whole holistic routine delivered on demand, right? Like it's so I'm excited to help that area, for those people living with constantly have to monitor their food. You know what? It's kind of interesting, which would be interesting to see if it ties to your watch and everything, is we're highly dependent on each individual's time of day. So my husband's a night owl. I'm an early riser. And when I try to stretch at night, I begrudge it. I didn't want to start stretching in the first place. That's why I took 4 years off to build the app, because I could avoid it for as long as I could. Now I got to do it. At night, I'm ticked that I have to stretch. Get me up at 6 and I'm on it and it's done for the day. But I'm having a hard time convincing him to stretch in the morning. And yet at our office, the one is up at noon. So it's enough to make people not do it if it doesn't fit with their biological clock, which is interesting. You got to challenge people to think what suits you best. And your watch might be able to help suggest that as well, with their rhythm and
Yeah, exactly. Well, just additional data that then you can track over time. And what you can do is you can show users, the results and do some analysis and even some pattern detection as well. So there's lots of room for AI here because as long as you have data, right? That's really the thing. You got to collect the data.
Yeah, and we do. We have anything. We gave you the stretch, the time of day. We needed it to build the next routine. We got data. I really need a statistician to pull out a lot of the trends from the data. That would be a ton of fun. But can you imagine a world though where grandma's able to come and help with the young kids because she doesn't hurt, and in the homes, the quality of life just across the board, what happens to your community when the quality of life of your seniors is elevated. But we're missing a whole element of kids not being hurt and injured because they stretch properly before and after their sports. The injury prevention model. We have a couple of world-class Irish dancers that get it. And they were like, we do stretches we never seen. These guys are amazing. Their legs are as big as hockey players. Like they are just so strong. And they're on, like they're our everyday people. It's really fun. Yeah.
We also track HRV, which is a measure of stress. And I would be really interested to see how daily stretching affects people's stress level. Does it go down over time? Because stretching is even somewhat meditative, right?
What we found, we had to go and specifically ask the question. Our users that don't mind us asking questions all the time, we had to say, what are you thinking when you're stretching? Because they wouldn't say, oh, I feel calmer after. They couldn't articulate it, but they went, well, nothing. I listen to what Ada says, and then I think about going into the stretch. And then I listen to what Ada says again, and I think about doing the stretch. And I said, well, so you're not thinking about supper or what you have to do at work? And they're like, duh, you can't. You have to listen to what she says and stretch. And so it's mindful movement. And so that your stress levels, I need your watch. Is your the one I heard about heart attacks, detecting heart attacks early, and no, COVID. I heard something on CBC due to temperature and stuff, fun stuff. Yeah, I wish I hung out with you guys. This is cool.
Well, looking forward to further discussion. That sounds really exciting.
Now, does this touch anyone else's name I see on the screen with your research or your current projects or teachings? Sure, it's a tough crowd, hey, when you can't see their faces and can't stare you down. Yeah.
People are shy. That's they're just shy. There's lots of people that would be, interested in that data for sure.
I'm here. I'm only 5 hours away. I have kids going to U of A too.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
And moreover, this interface provides limited capability of providing details about what people are doing and
So the interface being able to analyze the actual user being present and what stretch they're really doing or that kind of information?
I'm not talking about the app. I'm talking about this Zoom meeting that you're asking about what people are doing. They are not able to provide details here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
Any other questions? If not, then we will thank Karen for his insightful talk and all the discussion that he has sparked here, and we all participated in that. I'll thank all the participants, and we'll look forward to next week's seminar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. You're welcome.